Hi, I'm Joy, and today I would like to explore how every sign in the zodiac builds a foundation for the next sign, but also leaves an issue that the next sign needs to address. So we start the cycle with Aries, and Aries is a clean slate. It's the spark of life, the beginning of a cycle, and what it does is just does. Aries is about action and about, enthusiasm and liveliness and, the power to do. And the thing that it's kind of lacking is follow through and the determination to see something through even when it's getting frustrating or boring or it seems like it's not working out. So like Aries always wants to have a direction to go. Like, oh, can't go this way. All right, back up, go this way. Like it's very willing to just switch gears, go in another direction, and as long as it's going, it's happy. But there have been a lot of times. I have a lot of Aries in my chart. I have 3 personal planets in Aries, and there have been a lot of times in my life where I like decided I was going to make something happen, and I made it happen. And then I sat there and said, why did I think I wanted this again? Like, what? Why did I decide this was a good idea? um, Maybe this actually isn't for me because Aries like knows how to like accept a challenge and to conquer and do a thing, but it doesn't necessarily have strong awareness of its own like personal stable values and follow through. Like I said, that can be an issue for Aries as well. So it helps to think of Aries, it helps me to think of Aries as kind of like a little baby, it wants to go explore the world and wants to do everything itself. So this is, like the first couple years of life where babies, they're not selfish, like, I want this, it's mine. I want you to like do this or that. Like it's just very focused on itself and like not really even properly aware of other people and their needs or perspectives. Um, and then Taurus comes in, and with Taurus we have this awareness of values and personal desires and you in like developmentally, if you're looking at humans and how the signs kind of reflect their developmental stages, Taurus is where the kids start saying mine or I want that. Aries just wants to go and explore, and Taurus brings in some like stable personal values to the mix. And it's important to have that Aries drive as the foundation for Taurus because like without the ability to actually like make decisions and like go and do, like you can sit around wanting stuff all you want, nothing much is going to happen for you probably if there's no spark of life in it, if you don't have that enough liveliness to want to live and do the things. But with Taurus there is also this there's a lot of focus on the simple pleasures in life, there's an awareness of like deeper values as well if it's a higher expression, but there's also this like stubborn like nope, this is what I want. And Taurus is very like slow and steady wins the race, and there's a big focus on stability, and it's an earth sign, so it's all about practicality to some extent, but there's a lot of like focus on comfort, leisure, pleasure, and these are very important things in life, and I'll talk about that more when I do a video about Taurus specifically. But What is missing potentially is the ability to interact with others in a way that effectively communicates these needs or desires, or to be a little bit open to new information that's coming in, or to learn new things. And I have light social interactions, and that's what Gemini comes in and does, all of those things. So with Gemini, it's all about light social interaction. When I say social, I mean just like literally like communicating with other people. It's also about like accumulating information, and there's this inquisitiveness there. So if you think about, again, the little kid that is growing up, we're at the stage where they're saying, why? Why is this like this? Why are you doing that? Why is my hair this color? Why is the sky blue? All of this information gathering stuff. It's all very Gemini. And, Gemini is needed because, bringing in this new information and playing with it and being able to like adapt according to the new information that becomes available is very much a necessary thing in life, of course. And it brings some flexibility, some needed flexibility into the mix. And, the ability to just be curious and acquire new knowledge. So Gemini is important for that, and it's also important for being able to just have light social interactions with other people. And then the thing that that Gemini leaves to Cancer is sensitivity to the needs and feelings of other people. So Gemini is great for, learning things and interacting with people, but it's not the most sensitive. Like, Gemini might also, not Gemini specifically, but like, if you think about that stage in a child's life, that might also be when the child says things like, "Mommy, how come that man doesn't have any hair?" Or something like that. There's a lack of sensitivity there, and Cancer comes in and brings the sensitivity, the emotional sensitivity, as well as nurturing. Cancer is very much about nurturing. Now, you need to have all of the other signs present there in order to have, in order to set up for Cancer, without the ability to communicate with each other that we get with Gemini, or without an awareness of your comfort and physical needs that we get with Taurus, or what you want that we get with Taurus, how could you be nurtured, or how could you nurture others? So so Cancer comes in and brings in the sensitivity and awareness of one's feelings, awareness of other people's feelings. And, Cancer is it's a cardinal sign, which is interesting with water. It's cardinal water, so it's about feelings. And that's, when it comes to feelings, we're talking about sensations, intuition, and emotions. It's not just emotions. But with Cancer, there is more of a focus on moods and emotions than there is with the other water signs, because it's cardinal and it's earlier in the zodiac. So Aries is the simplest possible sign, and as we progress through the zodiac, it becomes each sign becomes increasingly more complex. So Cancer, of all of the water signs, it's the simplest one, and it's kind of it's cardinal, so it's about initiating feelings, basically. And you can see this in somebody with with heavy Cancer, you might see like heavy Cancer placements in their chart, or a Cancer focus in their chart. You know, you can see them nurturing others, taking care of their emotional needs, their comfort needs to some extent. So it's how we like nurture others, and you know, how we nurture ourselves, and how we need to be nurtured to some extent too. And the thing that it creates space for is Leo to come in and shine. So Leo is fixed fire. And fixed fire is basically essence, right? Like it's fixed, so it's stable, and it's spirit. So your fixed spirit is kind of like, it's almost like your soul, or your no, it's almost like your soul. It's the way you shine. You know, that's what Leo is all about. And having had this foundation of having the spark of life, having physical needs and comfort and desires met, having the ability to socialize with other people, and now having emotional needs met, and having been nurtured, and you know, having a little bit of emotional sensitivity and awareness of one's moods, like having all of that in place, it gives you the ability and the safety to go out there and shine, you know, and to create, you know, the thing that's inside us that never changes. Like that's what Leo's trying to express. And, you know, nothing that we ever say or do or create can ever like accurately represent our soul, obviously, but it's fun to play around and try, and that's what Leo is kind of about. And it's also that stage where, you know, a kid is like, hey, look at me, look what I can do, and wants attention, wants to shine, wants people to applaud and appreciate who they are as an individual, you know, because you know, Cancer is like, who am I? Like, not so much even who am I, but like, you know, it's related to your home, and like at that developmental stage, your, you know, family of origin, you know, your caretakers. And when it comes to Leo, it's like, okay, who am I like separate from them? Who am I that is just me, you know? So needing to be appreciated as, you know, for just being you, and, you know, doing what you do, and, you know, being an individual is part of this Leo thing. And there's also there can be like a flashiness with Leo, because like, hey, look at me, you know, and Leo loves spotlight. And Leo is also like good with leadership, because you know, fire is spirit, is passion, it's essence. And with Leo, it's fixed, so it's stable. So this is someone that can act with confidence, and who can act with consistency. Leo can be very, very loyal, and you know, these are leadership qualities. And another thing that Leo can do, especially higher expression Leo, and I'll talk about that in the Leo video, is appreciate the light in others too. Appreciate how others shine too, and accept that everybody is unique and individual, and you know, see people for who they are. And that is a very powerful that is a very powerful leadership skill. So so that's Leo. And you know, in Cancer, there's sort of this enmeshment with, you know, home, and, you know, nurturers and nurturing. And Leo is just like, it resolves that by being an individual. And So the thing about Leo, though, is that it's not always necessarily the most practical or down to earth. It, like I said, can be flashy, it can be dramatic, and focused on how it's shining and how other people are reacting to that. And Virgo comes in, and now that all of these personal needs have been met, and all of the previous signs can come in and be of service to other people and to take care of like the practical aspects of the situation, can get the details right, and it's very sensible, can be very perfectionistic and very down to earth. So Leo wants to spend $300 a month on haircuts, and Virgo comes in and says that's not gonna do the job. Like that's not really okay. Like we need to put some of that money towards healthy food, or towards a gym membership, or towards rent, or savings even. And if it's not all about like us and shining and being appreciated and admired, like we also need to like focus on like the overall needs of the situation and the people in it. It's not just us. So with Virgo, there is this focus on getting things right. There can be a perfectionism, and just doing what needs to be done, and it's not in a showy way. It's the opposite. It's kind of in this like self-sacrificial way even. And having done that kind of service and gotten all the practical details right, puts somebody in a position to then go into Libra. And if we're looking at this in terms of life stages, when you're beginning to work and take care of your own household and health and that kind of thing, that's where, kind of like just adulting, basically, like that's Virgo. And once you can do that, now you're in the place to like really get into a partnership with another person, which is what Libra is at least partially about. So Libra is a cardinal air sign, so it's very much about initiating thought or mental activity, diplomacy. So this sign can very much result in overthinking, and there's definitely a charm to Libra. And communication is big, obviously, because it's an air sign. And air is about mental activity and communication, language, thought. Like it's all very much air stuff. In its most basic context, right? So Libra is the first sign that is at least as focused on others as it is on itself. So Aries through Virgo, even though Virgo can be like self-sacrificing and like service towards others oriented, it's still in that first half of the zodiac. Not only do we get more complex with each sign, but we also get more others focused with each sign. So Aries is so like focused on self that there's not even really an awareness that other people exist to some extent. And we just get increasingly more focused on others as we go along. And Libra is the sign where there's at least as much focus on other people. And Virgo is very like practical but not necessarily the most diplomatic. Like Virgo will just like very, very sensible and will just tell you how it is, but there can be this very like critical approach with Virgo, and Libra comes in and smooths that out, like smooths out the whatever the social needs of the situation are. And so it is a yang sign. So um, throughout this video, I'm talking about the signs just in their pure form, not like, Aries sun, Cancer sun, Libra sun, but just Aries, just Cancer, just Libra. So whatever planet or angle or, anything, whatever placement is within that sign in an individual's chart is going to change the way it's expressed. Like the moon, for example, is very yin, and so it's more receptive and passive. And when you put a yin planet like that in a yang sign, it changes the way it's expressed. It's not being expressed in this yang way. Now it's more internally focused. So somebody with a Libra moon, and I've had multiple people with Libra moons that have been very important in my life. You see a lot of thinking, and Libra is all about weighing things out. So they take their time to make decisions, and they really want to consider all of the different perspectives that are involved in the situation, because that's part of weighing it out. And they don't want, they're looking for win-win situations. And Libra is very very focused on like making sure things are good with others, things are in harmony with others. But it is an air sign. This isn't like all about our feelings or feelings in general. This is mental, this is logical even, so they're weighing things out. And then when you look at Scorpio, the next sign, so with Libra, you get this ability to form partnerships, and you can see that when people start to have their best friends or start to date, any important anything important involving other people is there's going to be a Libra aspect to it. I feel like I didn't say that very well, that last sentence. I'm just going to keep rolling though. So Scorpio comes in with the feelings associated with connecting with other people. So Libra is not really super focused on feelings. It is air, it's mental, but now we have the feelings with Scorpio. And Libra can form these partnerships, but the intimacy happens, the intimacy focus is what happens with Scorpio. And Scorpio, Scorpio. Scorpio is about darkness, about secrets, about like what's beneath the surface. It is fixed feelings, essentially. It's water. So like your stable feelings, I mean, that's your attachments, basically. Like Scorpio is very much about attachments. And when you have an emotional attachment to something that's very important to you, and when something's very important to you, you have a lot of vulnerability in that area. And when you have a lot of vulnerability in that area, there's this tendency to try to protect yourself. And we have all sorts of defense mechanisms to protect ourselves. And a lot of that is Scorpio stuff. Scorpio is, I love Scorpio. Scorpio is intense and secretive, private, and there can be like concern about like power dynamics that you know, Scorpio is aware of that, concerned with that. And it's largely about intimacy, about connection and merging with people. And there's this like sexual magnetism associated with Scorpio. It's a very real thing. And even like sexuality itself. And, you know, these are themes that people are typically not super open about. Like these are kind of, you know, the private things in our life. And depth psychology, where you're exploring your unconscious, doing shadow work, that kind of thing. That's very, very Scorpio. It's exploring darkness and holding space for dark and heavy emotional things is very Scorpio. You know, it's where stuff gets real in an emotional sense. And so basically, Libra makes it possible to form these intimate connections with people, and then, you know, the meat of these connections, the intimacy, the merging, that's where the focus in Scorpio is. But Scorpio can be very dark, and there can be a lot of pain associated with Scorpio themes. Occultism is also something associated with Scorpio, just because it's like a secret hidden thing. And water signs, like I said, they're about feelings, and feelings include sensations, intuition, and emotions. So intuition is a big deal with Scorpio. It is, you know, the hidden depths, and it's a water sign. So so yeah, there can be a really big focus on intuition. And what happens when you're focused on darkness like that? You know, you come, when things are painful, there comes a point when you start to ask about the meaning of all of it. You know, like why is this happening? You know, you start to ask the bigger questions when you're facing a lot of that darkness. And that's what Sagittarius does. It comes in and it starts to look for the answers to these questions. It lets go of that heaviness and darkness, and just tries to, like, you know, find the truth, the larger truth in life. You know, it's very focused on it. Well, it's mutable fire, so it's changeable, and fire is the essence of things. So, you know, it's out there looking for the true essence of things, and it is more others focused than Leo, and certainly much more than Aries. So it's looking for the larger truth. And with Sagittarius, there's this focus on experiencing life, you know, because that's the only thing we can ever really know for sure in life is our own experience of it. And unless we're out there experiencing it, we're not going to be able to. So Sagittarius is ready to drop the heaviness, and you know, Sagittarius is light too, compared to certainly maybe compared to just about any other sign except Gemini, but like certainly compared to Scorpio. And this lightness, it's you know, it's almost like an answer to Scorpio. Well, it is an answer to Scorpio's heaviness, you know. And Sagittarius is funny. Things are funny because they're true. Sagittarius is all about truth. And the purpose of humor and laughter is to relieve tension. So a lot of the, well, a lot, if not all, of the funniest people you're ever going to see are people who experience a lot of pain, you know. And that's kind of the progression from Scorpio to Sagittarius. It's like, and sometimes things hurt so much, all you can really do is laugh about it, you know, and that laughter relieves the tension. So like physiologically, like not just psychologically, but you get endorphins, which provide a sense of pain relief, and you can get those from laughing. So Sagittarius is funny, and you know, looking for the deeper meaning of things. So with Sagittarius, there can be some preachiness too, because they're out there looking for the truth, and if they find it, they want to tell you all about it. It's a yang sign, and the lower expression of Sagittarius can be zealotry, you know, someone who's out there like trying to, you know, get everybody to follow this path of the truth, like the one truth. It's hard not to laugh when I think about that. But yeah, that's Sagittarius. And the thing about mutable fire, again, is similar to Aries. Aries does not have a lot of follow through, and neither does Sagittarius. Sagittarius is mutable, so it can change. And if you think about like life stages, you know, the development of a human being, now we're getting to the point where we're out there exploring the world and experiencing life. So, you know, there can be this focus on like experiencing other cultures and understanding philosophy and religion and that sort of thing. A certain type of spirituality can be related to Sagittarius, and all of that's fine and good. None of it pays the bills though, right? So that's where Capricorn comes in. Now Capricorn is cardinal Earth. So it is a yin sign. And I find Capricorn to be one of the most interesting signs because of the way people describe it in modern society. So because it is a yin sign, it's traditional, not progressive. And it's a follower, you know. And now if you put something like Mars or the sun in Capricorn, you're gonna get more of a leadership focus because and more of like a pioneering kind of focus, because those are yang planets. But just pure Capricorn without any of that yang energy infused into it is going to be more yin. So Capricorn is very much about just like knowing what the rules of the game are, you know, the game, the rat race, you could say, the rules of society, and knowing how to work with them to your advantage. And it's a cardinal sign, so it's about initiating, and it's an earth sign, so it's about physical, practical, material things. So this is initiating material stuff. Basically, it's like material acquisition. So Capricorn is where we go out and make the money, and we do it by following, you know, society's expectations to some extent, you know, and that's kind of a complicated subject, and I'll talk about that more when I get to the Capricorn video that I do at some point. But for now, I will just say that the reason that we see Capricorn being expressed in like such a yang way in our society, in Western society, when it's actually a yin sign, is because the society itself is this yang thing. And there's so much yang focus in Western society, and in Capricorn is traditional, so it's just going along with the way things are. So it's showing us a reflection of what society expects. So, you know, going out and climbing the corporate ladder, and, you know, being a shark, and, you know, these themes that are often associated with Capricorn, I think in a different culture that's more balanced between yin and yang and more healthy. Well, anytime you get more balance between yin and yang focus, you're going to get a more healthy expression of whatever it is. But you know, that the consumerism, the need to climb and succeed, the drive for material success, you know, that we see in Western society, like a lot of, we see a lot of this with Capricorn, like descriptions and that kind of thing, but it's not the heart of Capricorn. It's how we're seeing it in society right now in Western society. So anyways, so in Capricorn, we are, you know, doing what we need to do to be successful. And when I talk about success, I don't necessarily mean like being the top dog or being successful. How do I put it? It's not necessarily like being number one. It can just mean like being able to acquire all of the things, the material resources that you need in order to have the standard of living that you need. And another thing with Capricorn is that the higher expression of Capricorn is that there's this focus on providing for others too. You know, it's not just about making money. It's like having something important to do with it and providing for other people, and it can take on a bit of nurturing, it can be a bit nurturing when it's higher expression, but we'll talk about that in the Cancer and Capricorn videos. And anyway, so then okay, great. You know, with Capricorn, we know how to succeed by following the rules and, you know, doing what society expects of us and making money. But what's next? Now we've got Aquarius, and Aquarius is fixed air. So it's like stable opinions, you could say, or stable ideals. It is very mental focused. A lot of spirituality like falls into this, you know, when people talk about spiritual things, they're taking a very Aquarius approach to it a lot of times. And, you know, they'll start talking to you about like star seeds, and I could list like a zillion different topics that come up, but when there's like a belief system that's like very like complex, that's associated with something spiritual, a lot of times it's more of an Aquarian thing than anything. And with Aquarius, there's also, Aquarius is very progressive, so you are going to see like a little bit of focus with like technology and science and Aquarius. There's a stereotype with Aquarius that they're into conspiracy theories, and like I have known a fair number of people with an Aquarius focus in their charts who actually are quite into conspiracy theories. So maybe there's something to that. And Aquarius is weird. So, okay, in Capricorn, we're traditional, we're following the rules, or at least we're aware of them and working with them one way or another. And Aquarius comes in and says, screw that noise, like, no. There's this awareness of when society needs to change, like when things are not okay the way they are, when it's time to be progressive, when new policies need to be enacted, when new laws need to be written. It can be very organizational because, I mean, we're talking about fixed air. This is like very community focused, and so we can see like organization, like a focus on organizations with like specific causes that they're working towards. That can be a very Aquarian thing too. So so this is where we say, okay, this is, you know, in Capricorn we say this is the way society is, and in Aquarius we say this is the way it should be, and we're going to work towards that. And then, you know, we've got all these lovely ideals in Aquarius, and then in Pisces we just go ahead and let all of that go. Pisces is mutable water, so it's very, very, very flowy. It's like the flowiest of all of the signs. Aquarius can have its own sort of darkness to it. It's not dark in this emotional way, like how Scorpio is, but it can get like sort of a dry, how do I put it? It can lack liveliness, you know, it can get stale. That's a good word for it. Maybe there can be a lack of flow and a lack of like adjusting when necessary. And you know, Pisces is the last sign in the cycle of the zodiac, and it's very much about releasing. You know, we talk about Scorpio as the archetype where we see like this figurative death and rebirth, and that's definitely a very, very, very Scorpio theme, like transformation, figurative death and rebirth. Yes, these are very Scorpio. However, I am of the, I feel inclined when looking at just the water signs, in Cancer, that's where we're like forming our like conditioning, because our conditioning, our unconscious programming, you know, happens through our emotions. That's how we that's how, like, any kind of change that happens in a person's psyche has to be associated with feeling. So that's where we get programmed, and it's where we are aware when our programming is being triggered somehow, when there's some kind of dissonance with what's, you know, the situation and like our own feeling. You know, we feel the turbulence a little bit in Cancer. That's where we first become aware of it, but it's pretty surface. Then when we go to Scorpio, and there's a natural trine, and I'll make a separate video about trines and water trine, in like the grand water trine in particular. But basically, we develop our conditioning and become aware of our feelings in Cancer. We explore that in Scorpio, and we form attachments to others, and not just people, but to anything, emotional attachments based on that in Scorpio. And we also become aware of when it's not working so well in Scorpio. We feel that pain, but where we actually release it, where we let it go and flow, that's actually in Pisces. And the theme in Pisces is, there are a few themes. It's the most complex of all of the signs. And there's a really, really, anything like Scorpio or 12th house, I'm sorry, Pisces or 12th house, there's a really dramatic difference between the higher and lower expression. So Pisces can be about escapism or surrender. And it's where we just let go of our ideals and opinions about how things should be or how things work or whatever that we have in Aquarius. We just let it go and just flow and just let things be what they are, and just like feel our feelings. We recognize other people's feelings, and you know, we just surrender. That is the theme of Pisces, and then that is the end of the cycle, and it ends with this giving up of one's identity, largely, like oneness, or accepting the end. And that can be, it's not necessarily like dying, like when we're talking about 12th house themes, which Pisces rules the 12th house. End of life themes do come into play in the 12th house. Making peace with end of life stuff. But basically, Pisces is where we just let it all go so that we can continue onto the next cycle, which starts again with Aries. So Aries has a clean slate, and Pisces is where we're letting go of everything so that we can have that clean slate with Aries. And that's the zodiac. I would be interested in hearing any comments, so feel free to leave comments for me. Thank you very much.